Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over UFC Vegas 58, Fiziev versus Dos Anjos. First things first is always give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you give a follow over on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're taking over, baby. And as far as last week's picks, we did all right. The Sugar Show getting DQ'd, or not DQ'd, but the no contest kind of hurt a lot of the parlays. But the other Lockety and Gary came through. Both our round totals came through. And then one of the dogs came through. So not a bad night. Technically could have gone 5 of 6. Technically went 4 of 5. So not a bad day in the office. But again, make sure you watch after the weigh-ins. Check out those tweets because sometimes things do change with a botched weigh-ins, things like that. How people look, it does affect how the fighters generally fight the next day. That being said, this was one hell of a card. A lot of things fell off. It's only 11 fight offering this week, but it is what it is. It's still a pretty good fight card. It's a really fun one to watch, kind of a tough one to bet, but we're going to do our best because the name of the game is getting money while we enjoy the fight. So speaking of which, the very first fight of the night is one that could potentially be fight of the night. It's one of the two best up-and-comers in the weight class currently. I think 135 is the best weight class in the UFC, and the fact that these guys aren't ranked is just a shame. We have, sorry for the mispronunciation, we have Sayodikub Kakramanov going up against Ronnie Lawrence. We have Kakramanov at plus 100, Ronnie Lawrence at minus 120. Some of that's starting to get steamed. Earlier today, I did see a minus 140 in regards to Ronnie Lawrence and plus 110 on Kakramanov. But over under set at 2.5, it stayed steady. Over 2.5 minus 182, under 2.5 at plus 147. Let's start with Kakramanov. I think he's awesome. I really do like this guy a lot. He's a 9-2 record, but he's fought some good competition. He's only 26 years old, so he's someone that it's scary enough can get better each fight. He has really good striking. He's a judo black belt. He has a pretty sneaky ground game. And like I said, Askar is UFC caliber. He's good. He has a win there. Trevin Jones is in the UFC. He has a win there. And he fought a real competitive 3 rounds with one of the GOATs, Umar Nurmagomedov. That was very, very impressive. He also has a knockout loss, but it was just a crazy flying knee out of nowhere. Shit happens. So, it's better when these guys get losses early, learn from the experience, and build. That was 2019, so that was 3 years ago. The kid was 23 years old, so it's not going to hurt him at all. It's just going to benefit in the long run. But you look at his record, he has some Darce chokes, he has decisions to show that he has cardio, he has some knockouts, he has early ones, he has late ones. He literally has everything you would want. He has good cardio, good schedule, good jiu-jitsu, good striking, judo black belt. I really don't have a lot of negatives besides experience, I guess. He's only 11 fights into his career, but he's 26. So what do you expect from the kid? All in all, I really have no negatives to say about him. I guess UFC experience, only having 1 fight. Then on the flip side, you have Ronnie Lawrence that doesn't have that many UFC fights either. And honestly, I don't have a lot of negatives to say about Ronnie Lawrence. He has great wrestling. He has like 24 takedowns or something crazy like that. And he's only been in 3 UFC fights. It's insane. Well, one of them was a Dana White contender. No, one of them was a Dana White Contender Series fight, if you want to count that towards the UFC. But he has like 24 or 26 takedowns. It's insane. He is not good wrestling. He has great wrestling. He has good cardio to continue to do that. I guess his only con is he has that many takedowns, like 12 takedowns in a fight because they got up 11 times. So, pros and cons, but as soon as you get up, he takes you right back down. His striking's not bad. It's not great. I would definitely say Kakramanov has the better striking. But not by a large margin by any means. And Ronnie will have a 2 and reach advantage there to kind of nullify that striking disadvantage he has. He is someone that likes to circle a little. He doesn't just pressure. He doesn't back up. He just does a good job circling back and forth, switching stances. His jiu-jitsu is fine. He almost got caught in a few things, a triangle and an armbar by Manuel Martinez in his last fight. But he was rocked before that, so he had the wherewithal to still avoid all of that stuff and get a takedown while rocked. So showed a lot of perseverance there. Again, that's only going to help this kid. He's not as young as Kakramanov. He's 30 years old. He just turned 30 last month. But again, that's not super old. He was 29 literally 2 weeks ago, so he's not that old. The only con I guess I could even fathom think of is a loss to Steve Garcia, because I don't think Steve Garcia is that good. But I mean, that's really all you got. There's no negatives besides, I guess I would want to see him fight a little bit better competition. Even though Ronnie has more UFC fights, I would say that that Kakramanov has fought the better opponents. But no knock on either one of these guys. It's one hell of a fight. I don't want to bet it. I just want to sit down and enjoy it. But I do think this ends up going the distance. The over 2.5 is probably the way I would go instead of picking a side, because I think they're both really good, really durable, good everywhere. I like these kids a lot. It actually bothers me that they're fighting each other, because I like to back both of them and I can only pick one. If I had to bet it, again, it would probably be the over. The pick is going to be Lawrence, but I might throw money on Kakramanov if the line continues to build. If I see something, if he reaches like plus 120, I will have a bet on him, just because I think he's underrated. People don't know the name. People know Ronnie Lawrence. Speaking of names, we have Kennedy Njoku at minus 110, Carl Roberson at minus 110. And this line is also flipped a little too. And I get all of my lines on Monday. We're filming a little early here on Tuesday, and the lines are already moving. Last time I checked, Kennedy was actually the favorite now at like minus 125, and Carl Roberson was like plus 100 or something like that. Not a huge move, but Roberson is the official dog here. Over under set at 1.5. I thought that was interesting. Over 1.5 is minus 167. Under 1.5 is plus 137. Let's start with Carl Roberson, because I thought for sure he was going to get cut after his last performance, but surprise, he's still here. He is on a 3-fight losing streak currently, but let's be honest, Khalil Rountree is not bad. Brendan Allen is not bad. Marvin Vettori just fought for a title. So yeah, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but he's not losing the bad guys by any means. Also, when you look at his other losses, Cesar Ferreira is not terrible, and Glover Teixeira was the former champ. So he lost to a champion, a title challenger, and 3 guys that are staples in the UFC. Well, not Cesar, but back then was good. So all in all, he's a really good fighter. He comes from that Glory kickboxing, so you think of Dustin Jacoby, Alex Pereira, and Izzy from last week. He comes from the same bread over there with Glory kickboxing, so his striking's phenomenal. His jiu-jitsu is not bad. He will go for stuff, and he'll catch you eventually. I think he has a rear naked choke on his win. He goes for ankle locks all the freaking time. I don't know why he goes for so many of them. But his submission, he has an armbar in his record. His submission defense isn't that great. So he gets into these firefights on the ground, and if he doesn't tap you out and you reverse him, it gets a little shaky. But luckily, you won't really have to worry about that with Kennedy here. Again, he has pretty good losses. I don't like that he got KO'd about 4 months ago by Khalil Rountree. Usually I like them to take a little more time off. It wasn't a very bad one. He was curled up. I didn't like that, but it's not like he was out cold on his feet. So he might be okay there. It's still a little shaky there. His cardio's okay. He slows down a little, but it's nothing too crazy. I don't like how low his volume is, and I don't like that he used to fight at middleweight. You see some of his fights at middle, some of them at light heavy. He's going back up to light heavy, so he will have some size disadvantages here. You can back him up a little bit. I'm not really a fan of that either. All in all, he's just a striker with an okay ground game. But again, he doesn't wrestle for anything. I don't think he can wrestle, so his jiu-jitsu probably isn't going to be a factor here. Kennedy, on the flip side, has no jiu-jitsu whatsoever, so I don't know. Maybe Carl decides to come in and wrestle. Will be interesting. Kennedy's someone I've continually tried to fade. I don't think he's that good. His striking, I guess, is okay. He did look a lot better in his last fight against Nick Naragamenu. I'll give him his credit. I was sick of the rope-a-dope Kennedy that would let you beat the shit out of him for a round, and then he would come back and knock you out in the second or the third. He did it to Carlos Ulberg. He did it to Danilo Marquez. He was continually doing that, and I was not a fan. But last fight, he came out aggressive against Nick, and I liked that. I actually thought he won the fight, but he did have a few eye poke warnings and ultimately lost a point. I thought it should have been a draw. So if that Kennedy comes out, I totally understand him being the favorite. He will have a massive a massive 11-inch reach advantage. That's concerning. I think Carl Roberson is the better striker, but that is a big mountain to climb. And he has high volume, as Carl Roberson has low volume. So I don't like that at all. He's definitely almost hittable. Like he has high volume, but he gets hit a shit ton too. So I don't know. He's there to get hit, but he's going to have a reach advantage. God, his takedown defense isn't terrible, and Carl can't wrestle to begin with. So we have a stand-up affair with two predominantly slow starters, but both skilled in their craft. All in all, I would guess I would pick Kennedy to win. I don't feel good about it. It just there's not enough juice on Carl for me to pull the trigger. I don't hate the over 1.5 since they both start so slowly. I actually like it quite a bit. Again, it's going to be a stand-up affair where they both have knockouts on their record, so we are playing with fire a little bit, but that's just not the way either one of these roll, to be honest with you. Neither one of them come out and are just potent first-round finishers. So the pick is going to be Kennedy. The bet would actually be the over 1.5. It's set at 1.5, and it's only minus 167. That's not bad at all. I would take that juice. All right, next fight of the night is probably the one I'm most torn with. We have Cody Brundage. So I have it listed at minus 105 and Trishan Gore at minus 115. This line too has moved. I saw Brundage as a plus 105 dog, and Trishan Gore sitting at minus 130. Over 2.5 is minus 120. Under 2.5 is minus 110. Almost a straight pick 'em. This is a tricky fight, man. I don't really know what to do with it. It's interesting. We'll start with Trishan. He's the guy that was supposed to win the Ultimate Fighter, got hurt. Then they actually ran the actual fight, and he ended up losing the Brian Battle. I'm one of the few that had Brian Battle that fight and won a lot of money with Brian Battle, so I'm a little biased there. I do like Brian. On the flip side, Trishan will have a 3-inch reach advantage here, which is pretty crucial in this matchup. He has good striking. He's hits like a truck. He hits very, very, very hard. He has to move forward. He pressures you, and that's the way he fights. His jiu-jitsu, apparently he's like a purple belt. I had no idea. So I guess he has a sneaky good ground game. The thing with him is he's a pretty slow starter. His cardio, he doesn't gas out, but he slows as well. And he's one of these like Peter Yan types that analyze you the first round, and the Peter Yans and the Cheeto Veras, where they never win the first round. They just stop, they figure out your movements, they figure out your timing, and then they start to take over later on. He's one of those guys, so you can kind of assure that he loses the first round. The issue with that is it works a lot better with strikers. Cody Brundage is not a striker by any means. He's a wrestler. He's a Division I wrestler who, I mean, Trishan is pretty low volume, but so does Cody. He eats, sleeps, and breathes that shit. His wife was on the Ultimate Fighter, Amanda Brundage. But yeah, his bread and butter is at wrestling. He's a pretty sneaky good jiu-jitsu game. He saw his UFC win via guillotine against Dolce Uliamuga. So sneaky good jiu-jitsu, great wrestling, good cardio. He might be a little chinny. He was rocked by Dolce. Dolce almost got him out of there. Some referees would have stepped in. Fight before that, he did get rocked by Nick Maximoff. That's not a good look. And William Knight did knock him out. He was winning that fight, and then he got caught with elbows. So I'm seeing him get hurt a lot, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. God, I don't know, man. I like Cody Brundage. I think he's good. I just think he's a little chinny, and I don't know about his stand-up, really. I only see him wrestle. I don't like the one-dimensional guys. On the flip side, I don't know, man. It's really weird. On the flip side, Trishan Gore, he's also very low volume. The pick is going to be Trishan. I don't like him as a favorite, but he did split time with the MMA Lab and with my favorite camp and Fight Ready, and that's all I need to see. So the pick is going to be Trishan. The bet is going to end up being Trishan, because I can't pick the over-under if it's a straight pick 'em and we have Cody Brundage with chin issues. I don't like it. And the crazy thing is, as I clicked on the screen, I literally had a new fight pop up. So clearly, I've done zero fight tape. I have not seen anything, but we're going to jump into it anyway, get a little ballsy. We have it. David Onama has a fight lined up. This poor guy was scheduled to fight and at UFC Columbus against Nate the Train Landwehr. It got canceled. Then he was scheduled to fight someone else and they backed out. And then he was scheduled for this fight card against Austin Lingo, and Austin Lingo backed out. But some brave soul is going to take this fight on a few days' notice. David Onama is another guy at Glory MMA with James Krause. He's 28 years old, so he's also evolving each time. His sole loss in his career being to Mason Jones, and that's not a sad thing. One, he was up a weight class. Two, Mason Jones is a fucking killer. So it's absolutely phenomenal. He has really good striking. I don't know much about his ground game. His takedown defense is pretty solid. His wrestling as a whole was pretty solid. Seems to check out in the cardio department and cracks, man. He has hella power. He's just one of these explosive young up and comers that James Krause is really, really on. He only has so many guys at Glory MMA, and David Onama is definitely one of the top dogs there. He's just exciting, man. He's fun to watch. Every single fight I've seen of his is a dog fight. And man, he's scrappy, man. He's really, really cool in all honesty. And he has a few submissions on his record. So I would say the weakest spot in his game is his wrestling. He more or less was trying to just stay up against Mason Jones, and he crapped Mason Jones up a weight class on a week's notice. So that's not easy to do. On the flip side, let's see who his opponent is. Garrett Armfield. I know absolutely nothing about Garrett. So let's take a quick look at him. 25 years old, so he's a young kid, just trying to, UFC gave him a call, so he said, hell yeah, I don't blame him. Good for you, Garrett. All the respect in the world to Garrett Armfield. I'm just going to see if I recognize any of these names of people he fought. I recognize absolutely nobody. That's not good. I'm taking a quick scan at his record live with you here. Let's see, he fought someone that was 1-0, 4-1, got a loss. Okay. He seems to be a striker as well. Most of his wins are by knockout. I don't like that they're all in the first round. That's a little sketchy. He fought Ronnie Lawrence. Looks like Ronnie Lawrence put that work in. That's not good also, because Ronnie Lawrence is a bantamweight. So generally speaking, if someone steps in on under a week's notice, they're just coming up a weight class. So if this guy is coming up a weight class to fight David Onama, that's a scary, scary thought. This guy is a death wish. I don't know what he's doing here. Let's see. He is about a 71 entry compared to David Onama's. David Onama has a 74 entry. Jesus, he's coming up a weight class to fight David Onama. Just throw David Onama, put your mortgage on it. He's going to kill this guy. But just throw your mortgage on him. The other guy has fought absolutely no one. He fought one good guy and got killed. So David Onama it is. No need to do even fight tape on that. Just don't waste your time. David Onama, crush it. Antonina Shevchenko next up. At plus 155 going up, or sorry, at minus 180 going up against Courtney Casey at plus 155. Over 2.5 is minus 215. Under 2.5 at plus 165. Initially, I looked at this line and said, Courtney Casey plus 155. Give me that. And then I watched the fight tape and said, hell no, cannot bet Courtney Casey. She has pretty good striking. I wouldn't say it's good. It's all right. She calls herself Chick Diaz, and that's the way she fights, man. She fights like a female Diaz brother. She's married to Jakar Close, not the fan of that. He's a little crazy, and honestly, so is Courtney. She has really good jiu-jitsu. It's sneaky good. I believe she is a black belt now. Her cardio is very good. Wrestling, non-existent. She has 30% takedown defense. That's frightening. That's not good. That's not good at all. Like, if you sneeze on her, she's going to fall down. So that's a little sketchy. And when she's down there, sometimes she does accept bottom position because she is good on the ground. She says that she's a female Diaz brother. I think she's more of a female Charles Rosa, in all honesty. Just content on the ground, try to threaten with stuff, but never actually get it. Good on the feet, but can't stuff a takedown to save her life. It's literally female Charles Rosa. it's sketchy record. It's female Charles Rosa. So, do I want to bet on that? Because Charles Rosa will beat everyone that's bad, will lose anyone that's decent. Same with Casey. So, what are our thoughts on Antonina Shevchenko? I think Antonina Shevchenko, first of all, is 37 years old. Not a fan of that. However, Courtney Casey is 35, so she's not that much. She's only 2 years older. She actually does have good striking, just like her little sister Valentina. She's a Muay Thai specialist, and her striking does look good. Her wrestling and her jujitsu, little bit of a concern. She did have submission losses to God, who'd she just get tapped out by? Andrea Lee. She got killed on the ground by Casey O'Neill down there. So if she's on the ground, it's an issue. But Courtney Casey cannot wrestle to save her life. So this is going to be predominantly a stand-up ordeal. Unless Antonina decides not to. Because Antonina knew that Ariana Lipski was a good striker, and the only thing she could not do was stop a takedown to save her life. And Antonina finished her on the ground. She initiated the wrestling. A few fights before that, she got taken down by Roxanne, fight before that, she got taken down by Caitlin Chukagian at ease. Caitlin is not a wrestler by any means. She's just as bad of a wrestler as Courtney Casey. But Caitlin exposed Antonina. She went to the drawing board, worked on her wrestling, and utilized it against Ariana Lipski. Very interesting approach. Honestly, she could do the exact same thing to Courtney Casey here. I don't know. She has more ways to win. So the pick is going to be Antonina. The bet would be Antonina. Do I feel good about it? Absolutely not. Because you definitely just pass, or I would go minus 215 because no one's getting finished here. If anyone gets finished, it's Courtney Casey. I'm getting a submission. That's the only way this fight finishes. The over 2.5 is virtually a lock unless Antonina decides to wrestle and gets caught in something. That's the only way. All right. Then next fight of the night. Man, I can't believe David Onama is on this card. It's hype. Next fight of the night, we have Ricky Tercios at minus 175 going up against Amin Zahabi at plus 150. Over 2.5 minus 162, under 2.5 at plus 132. Let's start with Ricky, another Ultimate Fighter alum. Only unlike Trayshawn, he actually won his same season, ironically enough. He has good striking, really, really, really good cardio. One of these guys that use it as a weapon. Really high work rate, a lot of good volume here. His jiu-jitsu sneaky good. He doesn't use it a lot, but you see him active on the ground. He's a very active guard. He's a 4-inch reach advantage here, which I absolutely love reach advantages. What I can't stand is his wrestling. He also has like a 40% takedown defense. It's not good. He will threaten on the ground and he will get back up. So it's nice that he doesn't just settle like Courtney Casey, but he does get taken down a lot. That part of that is his move to Team Alpha Male to help with his wrestling. Hopefully that's able to assist him. But all in all, he's a great fighter. He's good experience fighting Mana. Brady in the finale was a really good fight. Honestly, his road to the finals wasn't easy. Dan Argueta is very good. We saw him against Damon Jackson, upperweight class, give him fits. Like, Daniel's good. Ludovic Sholian, he's fine. He's not a great fighter, but he looked fine against Jack Shore. Like, he did some good things. Mana Martinez is good. He's in the UFC. Like, Boston Salmon was in the UFC. Like, he has some decent losses in all honesty. So he's experienced. He's 29 years old. He's pretty much the real deal outside the fact that he has no power and cannot wrestle to save his life. On the flip side, we have Amin Zahabi. And at first glance, this is another one where I said, I'm probably going to have to bet Zahabi. And then I did a little more study. I don't know if I can, man. Zahabi has pretty good striking. He's very low volume. I'm not a fan of that. He's pretty hittable. Not a fan of that. His jiu-jitsu is okay. He's overall kind of like a generalist, only his striking's not bad. The dilemma is he's 34 years old and he has 10 fights. He does not fight often. He's the little brother of the Sahabi that trained George St. Pierre, so he has some experience, just in the gym. But all in all, his win against Draco Rodriguez, I don't think Draco's that good. So that's sketchy. He has a loss to Vince Morales. Vince Morales is just okay. He has a loss to Ricardo Ramos, where he looked fine in that fight, and then he got knocked out with that double spinning back fist or back elbow. That was weird looking. But that's all in the UFC. Prior to the UFC, he was fighting some sketchy guys, man. 3-1, 2-0, 7-8, 0-0, 4-5, 0-5. Like, it's kind of sketchy here. I'm pretty sure he's the one that fought the same guy more than once and on the regional scene, and there's no reason for that. Like he's just, yeah, I don't know, man. He is the little brother of someone popular, so he just kind of got the little brother rub. Then he got to the UFC, got an easy fight. Then they give him a young up and comer and he loses. And they give him another younger guy, he loses. Then they give him another younger guy, he wins. Now they give him Ricky, who's 29, his second UFC fight. It's really weird. They just kind of use him as a testing tool. All in all, Ricky should win this fight. But it's a hobby. I feel like the line is a little off. I think it should be closer odds here. But all in all, I'll have to always go with the volume. And Ricky seems pretty durable. I know he got knocked out by Mana Martinez, but everyone does. So the pick is going to be Ricky. The bet would end up being, yeah, I don't hate the over because Ricky has no power. I guess it's better odds too. Give me the over. Pick is going to be Ricky. Bet would be the over 2.5. All right, then the David Onama's off this card. That's insane. Next fight of the night, we have one of our live dogs here, Nina Nunez, at plus 125, going up against Cynthia Calvillo at minus 155. Over 2.5 is minus 225. Under 2.5 at plus 175. Let's go ahead and start with Nina Nunez. Nina, we have not seen in over a year after her loss to Mackenzie Dern. My major concern is she has 78% takedown defense, which is nice. I was very concerned that she got taken down by Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern has like 2 career takedowns in the UFC, and I'm not kidding. Nina is one of them. Nina does not have the greatest ground game, but she is really good striking. And again, she has 76% takedown defense, so she's generally tough to get down. She's 36, so that's also concerning. I don't like betting on fighters after they're like 38. As things start to get a little rough there. And again, her jiu-jitsu is a little sketchy. So she was at American Top Team. I know her and Amanda left to do their own thing. I'm also not a fan of that. But I did see her training with Tony Gravely per her Instagram, and it's kind of odd because Tony Gravely is at AT&T, so I don't know. And technically, they left the gym and are doing their own thing, but they're still training with some of those people. So I don't know if they just have like a friendly relationship and they're just still kind of training there. Or what's going on there? I have no idea. But I know Tony Gravely is a wrestler, and she wants this thing on the feet because Cynthia Calvillo herself is a wrestler. Cynthia's not bad by any means. She's pretty good wrestling. Her striking's not bad. It's actually improving a little bit. I would say you have to watch her at weigh-ins, but that's when she was at 115. This fight's at 125. She's been fine making weight at 125. But she was a lot better at 115 where she could bully you with her size. Up at 125, she beat Jessica I, who was not the greatest 125er, and also had a really, really, really bad weight cut. Then she lost to Caitlin Chukagian. Now, I'll be honest with you. Caitlin's good. Caitlin's very, very good. So no shame there. Then she lost to Jessica Andrade. Again, Jessica Andrade is really, really good, so not a lot of shame there. Then she lost to Andrea Lee. I think Andrea Lee is good, but she quit on the stool. I understand she was probably hurt. I'm all about the fighter safety. But at the same time, it's really tough to bet on someone who quit mid-fight. God. So, yeah, she has 3 losses at 125 against people that should be there. They're all good, though. So it's very concerning. I don't really know what to think of Cynthia 125. The crazy thing is we don't have to worry about that because Nina generally fights at 115. So we have 2 former 115 pounders fighting at 125. So the size isn't going to be a difference, in all honesty. So all in all, this is weird. I don't really know what to do with this fight. I don't really want any part of this fight either. But if anything, if Nina is able to keep this fight on the feet, I do give her the striking advantage. She's very fast. She hits kind of hard. So the pick is going to be Nina. The bet is going to be Nina because she's a dog. It's a dog or pass situation, baby. And then the next fight is also one that honestly could be sneakily be fight of the night. We have Jamie Malarkey. This line is freaking ridiculous. Jamie Malarkey at minus 240 going up against Michael Johnson at plus 200. Over 2.5 is plus 115. Under 2.5 at minus 145. Let's start with Michael Johnson because I can't stand this dude. Michael Johnson won us a lot of money in his last fight against Alon Patrick. That's perfectly fine. But Michael Johnson is also on that shaky age of 36. Michael Johnson has phenomenal boxing and a lot of power. Kamaru Usman is on record saying he's only been knocked out once in his life, and it was by Michael Johnson in practice. Everyone that was at that camp says Michael Johnson hits the hardest. He's fought a who's who of people. You look at his record and go, he's 20-17. How do you bet on that guy? Well, he's fought Clay Guida. Well, like Clay Guida, so let's leave that alone. Tiago Moises. Josh Emmett's about to fight for a title. Andre Fili's good. Darren Elkins is okay. Justin Gaethje, Habib, the GOAT, Nate Diaz, Beneil Dariush, Dustin Poirier, Edson Barbosa. Like, this dude is fighting the who's who. Tony Ferguson. Jesus. And he has wins. He has wins over Dustin Poirier, wins over Danny Castillo, wins over Dustin Poirier by knockout. Like, this is insane. He has an insane record. The problem is, as they say in the Dogger Pass podcast, he is the premier apple pie shitter. He will win the first round. He'll win the second round. He'll be coasting to the third and then get knocked out. He'll be winning in the first round, be cruising, and then get caught with an ankle lock. He always wins the fight until he just gives it away every single time. You talk about the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. You talk about the fucking Minnesota Vikings are always winning, and then at the end of the game, somehow they gave it away and they lost. It is fucking Michael Johnson in the UFC. That's what he is. He is a great fighter, but now he's 36, and he scares me to death because we've seen this for like 15 years. This dude just giving away fights. I can't stand it. I hate it. I don't want to bet against him. I don't want to bet with him. I just want to stay the fuck away from Michael Johnson. But on the flip side, we have Jamie Malarkey, the punching bag for Alexander Volkanovski currently. It's so weird. They fought each other. He knocked him out. And then he's like, you know what? I want to train with you. And now they train over together. He has really good striking. Excuse me. I wouldn't say really good. He has decent striking. His jiu-jitsu's okay. His wrestling's okay. He's pretty much just a generalist. He's 27, so you do see him getting better. And I would generally say he's pretty durable. But I'm looking back at his record, and Volk knocks no one out. And Volk knocked him out. You look at the fight against Jalen Turner. He was literally like crying. It was very odd. All in all, he lost by elbows too, so maybe he's not that durable. He just always gets into these wars, man. He has good cardio and he goes forward. He's very hittable, but he's going to keep pressuring. You hit him in the face and he just keeps marching forward, and then you literally get tired from punching him in the face. That's how he does. He doesn't block punches. He just keeps walking forward, and he had a decent chin, but I'm looking at it here and he's been knocked out 3 times. He only has 5 losses. He got knocked out in 3 of them. That's kind of sketchy. But yeah, generally, that's the way he fights. He can't take it back. That's just the way he goes. He pressures you as you're hitting him. You're piecing him up, and then you get tired, and he takes advantage, and he puts you away in the second, or he'll win the second and the third easily. That's what he does. And to me, it sounds tailor-made for Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson will punch his lights out in the first round, continue to beat the shit out of him, and then his 36-year-old ass is going to get tired. Jamie Malarkey is going to march forward, walk him down, and then either finish him or just take over in the later rounds, get some 10-8s, and just make it look real ugly in a brawl. That's how it should go. That's what the lines indicate. But Kamaru Usman said Johnson is the hardest puncher he's ever trained with. And at the same time, you never trust the Minnesota Vikings as favorites. But if it's just a dog shot and they're plus 200 against someone that got knocked out by Jalen Turner 4 months ago, again, it was a bad one. I talked about with Carl Roberson. He was kind of curled up in a ball, but he was still all the way there. He was just hurt. David Malarkey was out. He was out cold, and then he woke up crying. It was the cameras turned away, because the cameras did not want to be on this man who they thought could have potentially died. Like, he was out. So 4 months is not a lot of time for that. I like them to have 6 months at a minimum a minimum of 6 months at the life-changing beating like that, because you see these guys come back too soon and they get knocked out again. You saw it with Tafon Njoku against Carlos Ulberg. That guy's got never been knocked out. He got knocked out one time, came back 4 months later, and then got knocked out by Carlos Ulberg easily. Like, I'm scared this is going to happen again. So I don't ever want to bet Michael Johnson, but he's damn near plus 200, and he's the better striker. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I pick Jamie Malarkey, but you have to go dog or pass with Michael Johnson, a power puncher at plus 200 against someone who just got knocked out 4 months ago and doesn't block punches. He blocks them with his face. You have to hope one of those put him out. Bet is going to be fucking Michael Johnson. Next fight of the night, we have Chase Sherman at plus 150 going up against Jared Vanderaa at minus 175. I do not have an over-under on this fight for whatever reason, but we won't really need it. Because the bet is going to be Jared Vanderaa. It's really gross to say. I honestly kind of want to lock him. But I don't think Jared is that good. He has okay striking. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here, which is important to me. His jiu-jitsu, he's technically a black belt. There's real black belts and there's fake ones. He's a black belt on top. He has real heavy hits. He'll wet blanket you on top. You're not getting back up. On his back, not so much. He does have a high school wrestling background, so he knows what's going on in the wrestling department. It's just he's a little hittable, and he has no power whatsoever. He is not going to knock anyone out on the feet. The only way he's going to get knocked out is if he takes you down and lays all 280 pounds on top of you. And in all honesty, this is probably a loser leaves town match. He's lost 3 in a row, but I'll be honest with you, the Alessio Oleinik fight, he did not look bad. He ended up taking Alessi's back, got caught, and then got hit in the neck crank, so it kind of sucks. Andrei Arlovski, I thought Jared won that fight easily, but the judges love giving Andrei Arlovski split decision. I've never seen a man get so many split decisions in a row. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. And then the fight before that is to the future champion, Alexander Romanov. Call it here first. I was on Alexander Romanov before his first UFC fight. So I just want that to be remembered, that your boy called it. And right now he's on a fucking tear, still undefeated. Then the fight before that was Justin Tafa, where he won, which Justin Tafa's not that good. But he's a power puncher, and there's not a lot of difference between Chase Sherman and Justin Tafa. And the fight before that, Sergey Spivak is not a title challenger. He's a contender. He's ranked, a good wrestler, and was able to take him down, and that was it. So all in all, he seems to only be losing to wrestlers, and he lost to Andrei Arlovski in a split decision where I thought he got robbed. Those are his UFC losses. So Chase Sherman is going to be none of that. Chase Sherman is a bare knuckle fighting championship alum. So that's an instant L. His striking is not good. It's all right. He kind of hits hard. That's about it. That's the only positives I have for Chase Sherman. He has absolutely no jiu-jitsu, as Jacob Collier showed in their fight. His cardio, he only has 1 round of cardio and then he fades. He has high volume, I'll give him that, but that's part of the reason he fades. He's extremely hittable. He gets hit way more than he dishes out, and he can't really wrestle. Honestly, if you shoot on him, it's not gonna be met with a lot of resistance. He's not good. He got cut by the UFC, went to bare knuckle fighting, looked decent, then got brought back to the UFC, fought Ike Villanueva, and tested positive for roids. So then they're like, hey, buddy, this isn't bare knuckle fighting. You got to get off the juice. So got off the juice and proceeded to lose to Andrei Arlovski, Parker Porter, Jake Collier, and Alexander Roman, and Jake Collier. Then they caught him again, said, hey, he's only good when he's on the juice. But then Alexander Romanov lost a few opponents that are like, Chase, buddy, we'll bring you back for one more fight if you promise you're not on the juice and do us a solid. Chase said, yeah, but I'm not coming back for one fight. I need a 2-fight contract, a la the Jared Vanderaa fight. So this man has effectively been cut by the UFC twice, is on a 4-fight losing streak and is getting a 5th opportunity because he did the UFC a favor in his last fight. He's here for a paycheck. He is not here. He negotiated a second fight so that he could get a paycheck, not so that he could get a W and push for a title. That is never going to happen. Chase Sherman knows that's not going to happen. He's just trying to get an extra 30K along the way. That's all he's looking to do. Jared, on the other hand, does still think he has potential and does want to at some point fight for a title. I don't think he's good enough to, but Jared doesn't think that. He wants to be here. That's who I'm going to bet. So the pick is Jared. The bet is going to be Jared. And honestly, totally forgot the biggest lock of the night. I think I will definitely have Nina Nunez because I forgot the best fade of all time. The best fade that has never failed me is the OnlyFans fade. And guess what? Cynthia Calvillo joined the OnlyFans crew recently. So put all the money on Nina Nunez because the OnlyFans fade is 100% since we started. Just an FYI. Then that takes us to talking about guaranteed fights. We have Saeed Nurmagomedov at minus 240 going up against Douglas Silva de Andrade at plus 200. These lines have been steamed. Last time I checked, Saeed was at minus 290 or something crazy like that. The over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is plus 105. Under 2.5 at minus 135. Let's start with Saeed just because, I mean, look at the last name, Nurmagomedov. And yes, he is related. He is a cousin. He's 30 years old, so he's pretty much entering the prime of his career. He is coming off 2 impressive wins over Mark Striegel and Cody Stainman. He has sneaky good jiu-jitsu, very, very, very good striking, good wrestling, but that's not his go-to. He's not your normal Nurmagomedov. He's not your normal wrestler, your Russian wrestler. He's actually prefers to strike. He has a heavy kicking game. He kicks a shit ton, and they're quick. A lot of question mark kicks and just fancy stuff. Quick hands. He's very, very skinny, very, very fast. He's not one of these short, stout wrestlers from Russia. He's skinny. He's slick on the feet, but his last name is Nurmagomedov. He did train with them. He can wrestle. Don't get it twisted. It's not his go-to, but he's perfectly fine in that area. And his jiu-jitsu is top notch. It's very, very good. He only has 2 losses, one to some guy in some Russian thing that I've never heard of. I don't know him. And it was in 2014. So, I mean, they're looking at 8 years ago. And then his only other loss is to Hani Barcelos. And Hani is very, very good. He's very good. I know he's coming off a loss, but what are you going to do? Hani is a very, very, very good 135 pounder. So, all in all, nothing but good losses, good wins. And Cody Stainman in 40 seconds, that's impressive. Mark Striegel's not the greatest. Ricardo Ramos is not bad. But again, he took him out in 2 minutes. So, the dude's a finisher, man. So, he has a split decision win, which is good, giving him some experience there. A decision, good. His cardio checks out. All in all, I have nothing negative to say about this guy. On the flip side, I do have some negatives for Douglas Silva de Andrade. He's just a little power machine. He has okay striking. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Wrestling, 68% takedown defense. It's not bad, but he doesn't really offensively wrestle at all. He predominantly is one of these jiu-jitsu guys who figured out he has power and likes to strike because it's 10 times easier. His last fight is the one that everyone's going to talk about against Sergey Marazov. He came out and got absolutely killed in the first round. He was rocked. He was taken down. He was in submission attempts. He was getting absolutely bullied. And then for whatever reason, Sergey blew his load, had nothing left to offer, and Douglas took over, cracked him a few times, and then ultimately got the choke as Sergey kind of gave up. But I think that was his last one, solely on the fact that this dude's 37 years old. He's dropping down to 135 again. He's only been there for a few fights. It's not a good sign when they do that late in their career. He's starting to slow down a little bit, is what it looked like. He's 28-4. His losses, insane. Lerone Murphy, phenomenal fighter. Peter Yan, literally former champ. Rob Font, phenomenal fighter. Sabir Tagruov, phenomenal fighter. Those are great losses, in all honesty. All of those guys can fight for a title. They're all very good. Some are at 135, some are at 145. He's all across the board. He has very, very, very good losses, in all honesty. Some of the people he's beaten, I haven't really heard of. So his win record is a little sketchy now that I'm looking at it even deeper. Some of these guys don't even have records listed. So he might be a little bit of a Henan Barrow. He beat in Henan Barrow's old days. Marlon Cheeto Vera is a good win. It was when Marlon isn't the Cheeto we know now. There was Marlon Vera, and then he transformed into Cheeto Vera. Cheeto Vera would kill him, but Marlon Vera, he was able to dismantle in 2018. It's probably his best one. That is his best one. Yeah, I wouldn't say can crusher per se, but when he takes that step up, he struggles, and Saeed is a step up. So the pick is going to be Saeed. The bet is going to be God. I want to say Saeed, but he's starting to get a little pricey. I don't want to touch this over under. I guess you would just have to parlay him, even though he's getting pricey, or just stay away in general. All right. Then that takes us to the co-main event. And I talked earlier about two guys that I liked fighting each other in the very first fight of the card. We have it again here, man. I love it as a fan. I hate this, or I should say I love it as matchmaking. I hate it as a fan because I love both these guys. I don't want them to run into each other this early, but we have Armin Petrosian at plus 155 going up against Kyle Borello at minus 180. Over under set at 1.5. That's interesting. Over 1.5 is minus 172. Under 1.5 at plus 142. Let's start with Armin. Armin's good. Armin won me a lot of money in his last fight as a plus 105 dog against Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. He has really, really good striking, really high volume. 33% takedown defense, sketchy, but he does pop right up. Like, he does not waste any time. He knows his jiu-jitsu is not good. He knows his wrestling isn't good, but his stand-up game is phenomenal. So if you take him down the moment his butt hits the mat, he is up. He does have a tendency to give his back when doing so. Not the biggest fan of that. But all in all, man, this guy is exciting on the feet. And he is damn sure willing to stay up there. If he gets taken down, he is doing everything in his power to just pop back up. And he has good cardio. For 185, sometimes these guys seem to slow down a little bit. I mean, I would say ever so slightly slow down a touch, but all in all, his cardio seems to hold up. So he just gets in fun brawls the entire time. It's very fun to watch. And he's always the underdog, which is nice. And even here, I think the lines are a little off because I think Armin's good. But this Kaio dude is the man. You'll remember him from Dana White's Contender Series. This dude won as a big underdog and won me money against Aaron Jeffrey on the Contender Series. But Dana wasn't impressed. He said, you know what? It's a Contender Series. You got to get a finish. I know you were the underdog, but you won a decision. We're not giving you a contract. He said, okay, bet. Fought up a weight class a month later on the Contender Series and got a knockout. Dude, what a fucking G. How about that, Dana? Dana said, you know what? You went up a weight class on short notice, got the knockout. I like it. Let's bring you in. But we're going to give you a real scary, undefeated Russian. How about that? He's 13-0. Have fun with that. This dude, Kaio, comes out and wrecks him, kills him, just dismantles him. Now, he did throw an illegal knee, and the Russian did try to he did try to sneak a win away and basically said he couldn't continue, didn't realize that they've been fighting long enough to where it went to a decision, and he lost. He thought he was going to get a DQ, so I'm sure he regrets that. He tried to dispute it when they said they were going to a decision. So again, I don't like that Kaio threw that knee. That wasn't a good look, but he is very, very good striking. He is kind of like a karate-based Lyoto Machida style striking. 75% takedown defense. But if you do take him down, he is no joke on the ground. He's one of these kids that have been training with Damian Maya like for years and years and years. So his jiu-jitsu is sneaky good. Really fancy sweeps down there. Back control for days. I said Armin, when he gets up, he likes to give up his back. If he gives his back up to Kyle's either taking his neck home or he's just backpacking him. He's slapping on that body triangle and going nowhere because he will hold you there forever. And he also has good cardio that seems to check out. So all in all, this is a really fun fight. I would say a best comparison for Kaio is like if Lyoto Machida had Damian Maya's ground game. He's a scary dude, man. I think Kaio could literally be a top 5 contender in this weight class. So the pick is, I love Armin. I think the line is off, but Kaio can win via knockout, or he could win by decision, or he can win by submission. He can win any way he wants. Armin is probably just going to win by decision. So the pick is going to end up being Kaio. The bet would be him as well. And then we're already on our main event. So make sure you give this video a like, a little subscribe over on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, baby. As we head into this main event here with Rafael, I don't know if it's Fiziev or Fiziev. You hear it every way. I don't know what the correct way is. Against Rafael dos Anjos. We have Fiziev at minus 210, Anjos RDA at plus 175. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 150. Under 4.5 at plus 120. Let's start with RDA. RDA, the old vet. Not a lot that I can tell you about RDA that you don't already know. He's been in the UFC since I was freaking born. He has good striking. He has really, really good jiu-jitsu. He has good wrestling, man. He's fought a great schedule of who's who. Again, he's a former champion. He's fought at both welterweight and lightweight. He's 37. That's his biggest issue. I said I don't like betting on people once they hit 38. This dude's 37. He's right on the edge here. Not the biggest fan of that. All in all, he has good cardio. He did slow down a little in his last fight against Moicano, but there's nothing you can do there. All in all, he's a good fighter, and that was 5 rounds actually. So don't forget that. So, he has 5-round experience. He's just good everywhere. He's just getting older, so it's a little concerning. He did go up to welterweight because he thought that lightweight was tough on his body as he was getting older, but then he got a nutritionist and he's been making lightweight just fine. But it is concerning that he had to make some adjustments to weight cutting because of his age, so we do have to keep an eye on that. But he's all in all a great fighter. Has a lot of advantages in this fight. One advantage he won't have is striking because Fiziev is a former Tiger Muay Thai striking coach. He has not good striking. He has great striking. He has a shit ton of power. I was surprised at how hittable he is. You can dish it out on him a little bit, and a lot of that is in the 3rd round because he does gas out a little bit. I know people are saying, yeah, well, he looked bad against Bobby Green, but it was a lot of volume, a lot of output. Yeah, Bobby Green will push a pace. I agree with that. But, I mean, Brad Riddell was starting to pick it up in the 3rd round against him. Bobby Green almost knocked him out in the 3rd round. Moicano, he knocked out early, so we didn't really see. Mark Diakese, he just kind of destroyed, in all honesty. Then he got knocked out with that spinning back fist. That was something. You just didn't see that coming. But all in all, he's the better striker. He has 95% takedown defense, but let's take a look at that stat. Honestly, 95%, only one man has taken him down, and that's Brad Riddell. Brad Riddell is a striker. He's also a former kickboxing coach. So Brad Riddell took him down. Bobby Green not going to wrestle. Moicano got knocked out in 4 minutes and get a chance. Mark Diakese not going to wrestle. Well, the new one might against Slava Claus, but that Mark Diakese in 2020 not going to wrestle. Alex White not going to wrestle. Magomed knocked him out in a minute. Where is his wrestling coming from? Where this 95% takedown defense? Was that off of 2 shots? Like, I don't understand. And who was trying to take him down? That's a very, very skewed number. So we don't know about his jiu-jitsu either. We have no idea. We never see it because he's never really been taken down outside of Brad Riddell, who has no jiu-jitsu either. So all in all, it's basically wrestler versus striker. I always take the grapplers in that instance as long as they're good grapplers. RDA's okay. He's not a bad wrestler by any means. He's pretty good. So we're going to see what this Fiziev takedown defense is really like. And if RDA takes him down, I don't think he even has to take him down. I think he has to just threaten the takedown and make Fiziev work a ton, and that's going to tire him out. And he's got 25 minutes to play with. So I think Fiziev wins, but I don't like the odds. That's a little steep for someone that's never fought 5 rounds and has virtually no jiu-jitsu, and we don't know about the wrestling. So the pick has to be RDA just as a value. But again, it's enough of a dog to where you can throw Fiziev in parlays, and if that parlay is still alive, just bet Dos Anjos, hedge. I am a big hedge guy. Guarantee money is perfect. It makes your whole night. So you can throw Fiziev in parlays if you want. And then I would just hedge with RDA. Plus 175 is enough to make a buck either way. And that's UFC Vegas 58, Fiziev versus Dos Anjos. Again, it's a great card. It's on like an hour earlier than usual. And fucking David Onama is fighting. I'm hyped. So all in all, good fight card. Hard to bet. Great to watch. It's going to be fun, baby. Let's get it.